What's up, y'all? Hope you guys have been having a great day. We're just gonna play one Blitz game today. I'm at 1876, which is my current high. This guy's at 2000. Let's do it. I have the white pieces. We get this modern setup. This is hopefully gonna transpose into a PIRC. There is a trick here, and if he doesn't know it. Okay. I think here, bishop takes. Knight here, there's a trick. It's not so simple to defend this. Yeah, he goes here. Go knight here. If he goes back, we have this move, bishop takes e7. And if bishop takes, we pick up this fork, and we should be winning out of the opening, but it's not so clear. Just being up at an exchange doesn't mean much. We also need to get our knight out of here. I'm gonna be a bit silent because I actually want to focus. This guy's a 2000 level player. We are up on time, which is good. He gives us check. I think it's simple. We go here. So yeah, he's starting to trap our knight. I'm trying to figure out how we can get him off this diagonal. Okay, let's go here. I just want to get him off this diagonal, which he's not going to let us. He's just going to sit on this diagonal. I'm trying to think if there's a way I can evacuate. Okay, I think... Let's put pressure on this knight. He's going to probably go king g7. Even if he picks up the knight again, it's not the end of the world. Wait. This gives us a square, actually. This b7 square. So... I'm trying to think. Okay, let's fine. Let him take back. If we go here, knight takes. I take the bishop. Check. And I think I'll go rook back, and I'll just have the complete domination of the open file. I want to keep up the time pressure on this guy. I had a big time advantage, but he kind of used it against me. I think he has to take. I don't see any other alternative. Yeah. He has to take. I don't want to take back. I want to make a move that hinders his development. I think this is a good move to hinder his development. I'm trying to see if there are any counter shots. Let's go here, yeah. So I'm just hindering the development of the knight. The knight can't go to c6. Or it can, actually, I just saw. Actually, but if he goes to c6, I have this move f5, disconnecting the knights. So my next move is probably rook d1, trying to double up on the files. I really want to put this guy under time pressure. I think that's how I need to win this. I'm even debating of just kicking out this knight right now. Okay. I think this works. Let's kick out this knight. He goes here. I think this is fine. Takes. I think here is getting the rook to the 7th rank. Yeah, he's gonna force this rook trade, but I have a rook on the 7th rank. This is gonna be very tricky to win. He's clearly better here. I need to put him on time pressure. This knight can't move because there's a massive threat on F7. We just gotta play solid moves. If I make it difficult to win, I can win this game just off time. I think the next move is probably going to be G6, G3, just solidifying. I'm thinking of bringing the king towards the center, but I need to watch for checks. Okay. I want to keep the position as complex as possible. Okay, if I push the pawn, he can take, then I take, right? Yeah, so this is fun. If he takes the pawn, I take this pawn on F7, so. And if he pushes again, I'll just move my bishop back to A2. But this is just solidifying. My rook is super active. His pieces are very passive. So he takes. Debating of taking with the bishop or with the knight or with the rook. I think taking with the rook makes more sense. Okay. Oh, we have this fork. Let's go here. So we're just winning now. And he's down time. We just got to make sure we don't fuck up any past pawns. We'll go rook here. Putting pressure. Let's go. I want to bring my king back to the center. He just blunders his bishop, or his knight. Okay, we still got to convert this. Okay. Whew, I'm happy we won that. Okay. Okay, good. Oh, God, okay. Yeah, this guy was absolutely awful. I don't know how the fuck this guy is. I mean, I might message him after. I'm not going to do it on camera, but oh my God. This guy played really bad. He just completely fell apart. Yeah, I mean, we'll analyze the game without an engine. We're at 1887 now. Wow, I actually can't believe it. We're at 1887. We beat in 2000s, bro. I think getting to 2000 Blitz is not as difficult as I thought. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I'm back. So, yeah, no, what I've realized is these 2000s aren't that strong. I mean, I kind of knew that because I'm 2000 on Rapid, and you know I win a lot of games just of blunders. I mean, you guys saw, but big thing I think was time pressure. We're gonna first analyze without the engine. So we're gonna analyze without the engine first. So, okay, so I'm gonna try to keep this like to 10 minutes also. So the video should be 20 minutes. So as soon as you see this G6 move, this often transposes into an opening called the PIRC defense. So let's just go through the game. Let me turn off the engine. So here, if he plays this is what most people play. I don't know why particularly G6 is the move order these people go for, but this is kind of what I wanted to happen. Instead, what happened is we just get, it's delayed by one move. He plays H6. And the reason I'm saying this is a direct transposition into the PIRC is this is how the PIRC move order normally starts. It starts with d6, knight f6, knight c3, g6, bishop g5, bishop g7. So if you're wondering why I played bishop g5 here, it kind of looks like a useless move. Like, am I hoping them to blunder the queen like this? It's not. It's really to kind of get this into more familiar territory. This is a common thing that I try to do. I think most people try to do is you want to get, if they start with a different move order where you can direct it into a way that it gets you into a more known position, then you should do it. And this burn variation is extremely tricky. Like, the trap that I played, forking the rook, that is like the main trap. So we'll go through this is like the main variation. This is not what happened in the game. But if you guys can see, this is a trick a lot of people fall into where this rook is trapped. Like, if you guys can see this, if they castle, for example, this rook has nowhere to go, and I'm simply up in exchange. It's not that simple, actually, because you're still going to have to evacuate the knight, and in the time you're trying to evacuate the knight, black can get very active piece play. So we can just go through this very quickly, like, for example, like here, or okay, maybe not here in this case. Maybe like here, and they're threatening to take back. You know, you're still completely winning, I think, but black has a slight lead in development. As you guys can see, my knight and bishop and rook, we're like at least 2 or 3 moves away from castling. So yeah, that's kind of what I went for, this similar idea, and I did get it. There is this trap, which is this is a trap, and bishop takes is the best move. I'm not sure what... I know going back to d6 is an inaccuracy. Yeah, and also the reason... I was talking about, knight c3, and then the reason knight c3 is a good move is not only does it develop a piece, which is good, but it reignites this threat on this fork. If you guys can visualize, like knight here, for example, he just gets forked again, right? So this bishop needs to keep intact with the c7 square, really. That's really the idea of keeping this knight c3 move, which is why he went back, but this falls into another trap, which is bishop takes. And the king cannot take because the knight is guarding it. And basically, I'm reinventing the threat again, right? Let's say he plays nothing. I take, he takes, I get it. This bishop on d6 is a very important protector of the position. So I'm basically trying to delete this bishop, like trying to get rid of it with other material so I can win this trapped rook, which is what happens. I fork him and I win the rook. And here, should be better. I'm not sure if I could have gotten the knight out in any way, but at the very least, it's going to take him a couple of moves to win back the knight. And if he does win back the knight, I'm down 2 pieces for a rook, but I should have a more active position, which is why I think I ended up winning the game. So more active meaning my pieces are way better positioned, and his pieces are far from getting to good squares, meaning they are passive. So, and also I'm going to start explaining concepts like these a bit more thoroughly for more beginner viewers. But yeah, so he goes bishop here check, and I missed his idea earlier. I mean, c3 is still the best move, but his idea is to cover the c7 square so he can trap my knight and win back my knight. Because if I get my knight out of here, I'm probably pretty clearly winning unless he gets some big lead in development, which you look at all his pieces, it's going to be a bit difficult to get a big lead in development. I'm like 1 move away from castling, or maybe not 1 move away because I need to get my knight out, but still. So c3 is the only move. This move makes no sense. And by the way, I'm going to go over these moves just to be a little bit more clear, and maybe for beginner players, because you don't want to move the same piece twice in the opening, and the bishop will come back here anyways. So c3 makes the most sense. You're also another benefit of c3. You don't really think ahead too much, but if the knight comes here, it's limiting this knight. The knight can really only go to e5 now, because if you guys can visualize, this knight can't go to here to the d4 square or the b4 square. So c3 is a fine move. I don't think I could have played anywhere better. And here's where I kind of realized it's going to be a bit tricky to get my knight out. So I was going to attempt to kind of kick out this bishop off this diagonal, but I didn't realize he could go all the way back to d8. Now looking at this, I don't know if I could have exploited the fact that this rook pin, this knight is kind of pinned. I don't know if I could have exploited it. Like maybe even playing this here. I'm not sure. But regardless, I played this move, which I thought it created some long-term pressure. It really doesn't. I don't think it does now looking at the position a little bit more clearly. Like, I don't know. I thought somehow if he goes here, there's some way I can bully him, but there really isn't. He still can play bishop b7, and I don't think my knight gets out. So, but at the very least, I'm getting a piece out into the game, and I'm preparing to castle. And I have a lead in development. It's going to take him a couple moves to win the knight, so I need to use this precious time to get all my pieces out, basically. Because I'm going to be down material-wise, because 2 pieces for a rook is better for the person with 2 pieces. But I can compensate for that by getting my pieces more active. So, I didn't take. I went back because I was hoping maybe I can figure out some way to escape on b6. I was talking about how, I have the b6 square now because the pawn doesn't control it. The bishop still does control that diagonal, so it'd be a bit more difficult, but maybe like ideas of rook d6. So like, for example, rook d6, maybe I can get my knight out, right? Like, for example, here. I actually still can't because the knight controls b6, so that was kind of a lost cause, I'm not going to lie. So, I go back here. There really isn't any other move. And the bishop on this diagonal is kind of nice, you know. The bishop on c2 doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I mean, you're just staring into granite maybe eventually once this f-pawn moves, but you generally want to keep your bishops on active diagonals and weakened. Like, this pawn is kind of weak. This backwards pawn is kind of weak. The king is the only thing protecting it, so there's some long-term pressure on that pawn. Obviously, these aren't things that I'm thinking about in the game, but if you make just generally good positional moves, you will like, just inherently, like, your intuition, especially in Blitz, it will develop. So, meaning your intuition will develop. I'm not referring to developing pieces in this current explanation. So he goes here, and here's where I kind of realized, okay, there's not really anywhere I can get my knight out. It's just a waste of time. I might as well just castle. And think of it, he's wasted like 3 moves winning back this knight, which I'm not saying is bad. I think winning back his knight is his best course of action, but I need to take advantage of the time he needs to take winning this knight in order to get all my pieces into the game. So I ended up castling, which I think is pretty intuitive. You can castle. He's not castled. And even though there are queens off the board, I can still maybe take advantage of his king being sort of weak and his pieces being a little bit passive, and maybe I can win material, which I think does happen eventually with this rook f7 move. So he takes the knight, knight e5. This is a very clever move, because I wouldn't say clever, very forcing move is the better way to put it. Because I'm threatening to take on f7, but if he takes, I get to take here and my rook gets active. And I think when I played rook d6, it made sense to me at the time because I thought I was limiting the rook's development, or the knight's development, because it couldn't go here because of this f4 move, which is what I ended up playing. And I also thought the same thing applied to this, but I didn't see that the bishop protects this knight. So going here, it ended up working out for me because I get the rook to the 7th rank, but rook d6 wasn't as strong as I thought it would be. I think a more accurate move would have been rook d8, just moving. You want to get all your pieces off their starting squares. That's a general rule of thumb. By the way, these are very beginner like ideas. I wouldn't even say beginner. I'd say very fundamental ideas that are good for beginners to understand. And I'm going to start trying to explain these a little bit more thoroughly, just for newer viewers. But I think maybe even a better move would have been rook takes rook, king takes rook, and rook e1. I think this might just be devastating, because if he protects like this, I still get to play f4. If he goes here, I straight up just win a piece. And I didn't see this because I was so hung up on the rook on the d file. I kind of got tunnel visioned that this rook needs to stay on this d file, and I didn't even contemplate that, I can take his rook and I can get his king even further into the corner limit his, because you want, in an endgame, when the queens are off the board, centralizing your king is very important, because the king becomes sort of an escort for your passed pawns. So limiting king activity in the endgame, you don't want to get your king active when the queens are on the board, because it's just going to get attacked, okay? Generally, it's just going to get attacked. But I could have gone, but I was so tunnel visioned on the fact, I think maybe like in the back of my head I can go rook e1, but he always has pawn to e6, but then I have pawn f4, right? So these are things I need to know. I think that was the only mistake I made in this game. I'd have to check with the engine, but that makes a lot of sense to me, rook e1. But rook d6 I think I played this because I thought I could limit the knight's development. And if I limit, like, you see how his knight and bishop aren't developed, his rook is, it's ready to get into the game, but he's still going to have to spend like one tempo getting it into the game. And in this type of position, tempo is very important because the position is very open. I don't know. I wouldn't say the kings are unsafe, but there's ways to get positional strongholds, like getting the rooks to the 7th rank, which is a key thing, a key concept, which I think applies into this game. So, knight here, and here I was thinking, okay, I want to get my rook to the 7th rank. Getting the rook to the 7th rank is generally a good thing. By the way, this is also another very fundamental concept, but getting the rooks to the 7th rank, the rooks on open files in the 7th ranks are just where the rooks need to be. They can create all sorts of threats, which I think I kind of demonstrate here with the rook taking on f7. So here, I didn't explain it during the game, but f4, I was like, okay, I don't win this knight on c6 because the bishop protects it. But you see how this knight is controlling this d7 square. If I can kick out this knight, I can get my rook to the d7 square. So that's kind of what happened in the game. And also, I didn't really see that he could go c4. But like I said, you don't need to see every specific move, especially in Blitz. In Classical, maybe, because you have a little bit more time. But even in Classical, for the most part, you're playing a lot off intuition. You're only really calculating forced moves, like tactics. But there isn't really any tactics here that I could see. So I didn't see c4, but I knew rook, as soon as this knight moves, I'm going to create long-term pressure on the f7 square. So, which is what happened. So he goes rook here, and I think rook d7 is the only move. And getting the rooks to the 7th and 2nd ranks, I think, is very important here and is justified with this rook d1 move. Because, first of all, if I want to keep this rook on the 7th rank, or keeping a rook on the 7th rank, this is the only move, but he gets counter pressure here. And if you guys can see, his bishop all the way on a8 coordinates very well with this rook on g3. And this is even like, there's some like very dirty threats here. Like, for example, I don't know right off the top of my head, but let's say I play a move like rook e1, trying to take the open file. That's probably what I would have played in this position. He could even go, let's say, I don't know, the knight really has nowhere to go. Okay, let's just visualize this pawn isn't there. This, if you guys can visualize, like, there's not really a way to stop this threat. Like, I could go here, but still, this creates some very, you know, he wins this pawn, he has a rook on the 7th rank, he has counterplay. So you want to avoid giving your opponent counterplay as much as possible. So here I was like, okay, we're going to trade rooks, but at least my rook is more active. My pieces are more active. This bishop and rook coordinate very well in the f7 square. His pieces are kind of uncoordinated. And I didn't see at the time, but this f4 pawn and this b4 pawn very much limit the knight's movement. So that's another pro of this position. He goes here, and immediately I was like, okay, I can't go a3 because he takes, but then I realized if he takes, I can take on f7, and I didn't directly see that I win a piece in that particular instance if he takes, but I just knew intuitively that I get counterplay, my pieces will be more active, his knight will be like, I mean, what are they really doing? He might, in the back of my head, I was like, okay, maybe he has the threat of a passed pawn, but I didn't really, I really thought this is nonsense if he takes, which it was. He can't even go here because of this discovered check, which is why he went to the corner. But I still have this fork here. I think he just straight up missed this idea due to time pressure, which is why time pressure is very important. This guy is a 2000, right? And the reason these 2000s won't make blunders against you, who is like a 400, is because they get very easy, simple positions and they're put under no sort of pressure. You want to put these players under pressure, which is how I lose games. I get put under pressure. Even though I might have the slightly better position and I play slightly better overall, that doesn't matter if I can't convert it. And you can limit someone's conversion if you put them under pressure. So I think here, this is just straight up winning. This bishop dominates this knight. Maybe even here, going bishop here might be more accurate. I think keeping long-term pressure is fine. And like I said, I just want to make moves. I think he's down to 40 seconds at this point. I think you just want to make solid moves. Like I said, bringing the king to the center is something I talked about earlier in the endgame to escort your pawns, because my main game plan here is I want to trade as much as possible. I want to make as much confounding variables. I want them eliminated. I want to limit the imbalances, because the more imbalance there is more likely for a tactic to appear or me to slip up. So he goes here, which is just a blunder under time pressure. He just hangs his knight in one move. So I win, and this is where he resigns. And my game plan here would probably be maybe going rook a5, paralyzing the knight, maybe bishop back to a2, to limit any ideas. Maybe not even bishop a2, maybe leaving the bishop as it is, maybe going king f3, making very improving moves, using this 3-on-2 on the queen side to create a passed pawn and just converting it from there, simplifying everything down, get it to a king and queen, and just checkmate him. That would have been the game plan. It's a simple conversion, but under time pressure, I think still would have been difficult if he played it on. I'd still have to be a little bit precise. I wouldn't say precise. Actually, I would say precise. I'd have to be a little bit precise. I'd still have to think. So, yeah, we can now look at the engine. Like I said, I think the only real mistake I made was the rook back to d6. I think taking and bringing my rook to e1 was more accurate. It says this is a brilliant move. It isn't that brilliant, because it is brilliant if I found it on my own, but this is a motif I've known for a while. He goes here, I take. This is all fine and dandy, it looks like. So this looks like to be an inaccuracy going back. It wants me to take, which maybe I should have taken. Take, knight takes. What does it suggest here? Does it want me to sack? Knight e5. Okay, yeah, very similar idea to what I did in the actual game. Which I did play knight e5 eventually, which I think, I wouldn't say is very clever, but a very forcing move, like I said. So, I think I played fine here. I still have an advantage. Yeah, knight e5 is brilliant. I don't think it's that cool of a move, but I'll take the brilliant, So, yeah, here maybe I should have seen this rook e1 move, which I'm sure this is the sequence that it likes, right? Like takes. Yeah, wait, let me look. I'm sure this is what it likes. Takes here, rook e1. Yeah, and it's kind of like, knight d7. Probably go rook e7. Yeah, complete domination. He does have two pieces for the rook, but my rook is so active. His knight's not even off the starting square, and they're kind of paralyzed to each other. Because if this knight moves, I just win this knight, And then here, you're not going to win. It's going to be extremely difficult. I'm up in exchange, and my rook is on the 7th rank. So the quality of my pieces, even though I'm down 2 pieces for a rook, the impact is not felt. Because his knights are kind of more liabilities. They're not active. I mean, I think the bishop is nicely placed, but the bishop is only nicely placed if it can coordinate with its other pieces. If the knight was on f4, for example, then maybe there's something there. But even there, I could play g3. So, this is not what happened in the game, but I think this is why that's the idea that I missed. But I think otherwise, I think the conversion was pretty clean. I think a3 is bad. Bishop xc4. Wait, here? Oh, wow. Yeah, this is actually brutal. I think I talked about this earlier, but this c3 pawn, this b4 pawn, these pawns really hinder this knight's mobility, and the rook covers the other two squares. Here I'd just be up a piece. But, wow. I mean, he still messes up, but yeah. That is the one thing I did miss in my analysis by myself, which is why you should look at the ideas by yourself, see if you can figure it out on your own, and then look at the engine after. And this is one of the things I would have missed without the engine. I didn't see this move of taking the bishop. I just thought this bishop, I'm paralyzing this knight, and a3 makes it so that he has to find a move because he can't take, but he took anyways. But yeah, overall a very clean game. I missed two big ideas, I'd say. One of them I found on my own through the analysis. The other one I kind of had to dig into the engine to find it. This idea of, this pawn idea. But I hope this analysis was a little bit more thorough. I still think that I don't want to make this video too long. I think this video is going to end up being 30 minutes maybe. I don't like that, but, it is what it is. I still want to explain my ideas, and when I play a live game, it might be hard for even me to grasp all the ideas in the game. So it's always good to analyze and learn from the game, whether you win or lose. So I think me being tunnel visioned on the D file was the biggest learning thing from this game. I think this pawn idea, I should have found it, but I think I still was winning regardless. But the rook to D6 equalized the game, and it would have made it a bit harder to convert if he found all the right moves. And at that point, he was still under time pressure, but still, you need to make the games as easy for yourselves as you can, right? So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the analysis, and I hope you guys have a good day. And if you guys have any questions in the comments, I'll be happy to answer them. I'm even of thinking, I know I have a very small audience at the moment, but if any of you guys want to submit your own games, I can look at them for a video too and analyze them too. Not that I'm some great player or anything, but I think if you're below, say, 16, 1700, even 1800, I think I could provide valuable insight. And even if you are at 2000, it's always good to get different feedback, right? So even if you're above, I'd be happy to not even just look at your game. If you're above 2000, I'd be happy to play too. And even play a lower rated player. I obviously won't rate the games, because if I lose somehow, then then I'd probably just lose rating, and I don't want to do that. So, I can't be asked, because I'll get very upset. So, that's besides the point. Have a good day. Hope you guys enjoyed the analysis and learned something.